Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Uplifting Conversations, a place where we figure out how to bridge in ways that connect across differences while fostering them. I am Justin, and who else do we got with us here?
I'm Deanna. So great to be here with all of you.
And it's great to be here with you, Deanna.
Thanks, Justin.
So, this is a place where we figure out and learn together how to connect better, how to make sure that we can celebrate the things that make us different, but also make us better, and still try to find common ground while also creating new ground. So, now for this particular episode, we had lots of folks out there. Thank you for your questions, your comments, your recommendations. And this one's called Read the Room. So, Deanna, what does that mean to you, reading the room, and why is it important?
Well, I think, it's a phrase that we hear, right? It's like, you got to read the room. You got to read the room, read the room. It's not like an uncommon phrase. And for me, I think it means being able to understand like situational context.
Mhm.
So being able to understand like what's happening, what's the vibe, what's the energy, how are people feeling in a space, and really being able to get a sense of what's going on as you come into a space, like understanding what it is that you're entering into besides your own energy.
Mm, yeah. And we can think about maybe traditional forms of leadership is I come up with the idea in a bubble and I say the same idea to everyone, everywhere, every time, as opposed to adapting the message and modifying the approach according to the situation.
Mhm.
So, one valuable thing that helps me think about reading the room and situational context is everything we say is a text. That's the message, text.
Mhm.
But every text has context, things that are happening around it, but also subtext, the stuff that's happening beneath the surface. So there's the message that we explicitly say, but then there's all the things that are implied above and beyond what we've said, and also the extra nuance and meanings that happen underneath the surface. So
I
we're
just
in
want to
Milwaukee.
point out that you can make everything into a literary, like, example, just
Oh,
for our
sure.
listeners.
Just give us enough time. We will. So I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the Milwaukee Bucks are fantastic. But the Bucks are amazing. Same text. It means one thing if they have just won a game by 30 points. It
Mhm.
ends. I look over at Deanna. We're in the stands. Say the Bucks are amazing. It means something completely different if the context is different. If they've just lost a game by 60 points, and I turn to Deanna and say the Bucks are amazing. The exact same text, but the
Mhm.
situation makes mean completely different things. Like, and Deanna's gonna look at me like, "Are you being ironic? Are you being mean and nasty? How dare you hate on my Bucks?"
Absolutely, right? Because it matters. It matters where we are, what's happening around us, what's going on. And just knowing what the context is allows for the same words to have totally different meanings and hit our ears in a totally different way. But it's not even just like the words, it's also the space. It's like literally the
Mm.
physical place that we are in. Because even that same comment, right? If we are in the Milwaukee Bucks stadium and you're like, "The Bucks are awesome." It means something different than if we are in the Chicago Bulls stadium, right?
As I was
It
gonna say, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna go to Chicago."
We're gonna go to Chicago, right? It just means something different, and nothing has changed in the words that you've said, but in the physical location of where you are.
Yeah.
And we could go even further. If I'm in a group full of people who are all from Milwaukee, and I say, "The Bucks are great," that means something very different than if I'm in a group of people who are from both Chicago and Milwaukee. And those of you who maybe are not from, the area or from this region of the world, just want to let you know that the Bucks and the Bulls are from Chicago, the Bucks are from Milwaukee. There is a long standing rivalry between those two teams. And so, saying the Bucks are awesome to a Bulls player is like, you don't do that, right? Because we have these like, well, some of us, I should say, have these strongholds on our team and this like team pride. And so even just knowing like the people who are in the space,
Yeah.
right? Or, okay, let's go even deeper. What about if we're in a space and everybody has on jerseys? Right?
Mhm.
And so then you know that it's a group of people and it doesn't even matter what jerseys they have on, but they have on basketball jerseys. Well, now I'm talking to a group of fans. But what if I go into another space and there's no indication that anybody there even knows what basketball is or has any like, right? And I say that to them, they might be like, who are you talking about? What
And I
is this?
could signal to them like, "Oh, I am not interested in what you have to say. I'm centering myself, and I know that you don't know anything about basketball, but I'm still saying it anyways." All these things change the meaning. And Deanna and I,
Absolutely.
we've talked a lot about how to show empathy and earn trust in the situation. Elsewhere, we've talked about mirroring, that like if Deanna and I start a conversation and we are in the moment in person, that we're responding in real time, second per second, to the other person's behavior. That's really valuable to show that I'm empathizing and trying to understand and paying attention to what you're doing. This is maybe one layer out more, where I'm trying to empathize with you, not just by mirroring your immediate direct behavior. It's I'm trying to show empathy by zooming out a little bit and seeing what's going on. Even before Deanna and I start talking, that I take a moment, I take a beat to think about, okay, I'm about ready to enter into a conversation with Deanna. What will I say? But how can I modify it based on context and subtext so my text is clearer?
And I love that phrase. It's a phrase that we use all of the time, both in our company, in our work, but also in our family, because it's a nice way to just remind yourself that that's right. There are different contexts for different places because we all get kind of this like tunnel vision, right? Meaning like we get into these spaces where we start to see things just from our own lens or from the context in which we understand things to be. And sometimes that can get mistaken for the universal truth. And
Mhm.
so being able to just say very kindly, like, zoom out, zoom out,
Yeah.
right? It's just a nice way to be like, wait a minute, not everybody is experiencing this same situation the way that you're experiencing it.
So,
Can I give a funny example?
yes, please.
Okay, right.
This
So
is going to be good. Whatever it
I
is,
mean,
I know.
I think it's funny, right? So, like, if we are anywhere, it does not matter if it's the grocery store, it doesn't matter if we're in a restaurant. It literally, if we're walking down the street, I am a Prince fan. True Prince fan. Okay. I love Prince. He's my favorite musician. So, in any one of those spaces, if a Prince song comes on, my natural inclination is to just start dancing. Like, the music gets into my soul, and I am just ready to go ahead and start dancing.
Mhm.
But there are some contexts in which that is not appropriate, right? And so, right, this is a funny example of it, but there are some situations where it's not appropriate, and I need to zoom out to be like, "Wait a minute, Deanna,
I'm at the
look at
bank.
the
No,
look at
that's okay. You can dance at the bank.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, yeah, I mean, in the grocery
trying
store,
to
these
think
are
of
all
an
places I feel like I've given all examples of places where I could, but there are some places where it's just not, like if you're in a crowded elevator and nobody can really like move around, like wait till you get off the elevator, girl. This is not the time to do it, right? Or, you're at my teenagers, they would give you a whole list of places in which
Mhm.
they think the context, right, is less appropriate in places when I'm by myself, okay? But if they're with me, they have a longer list of places where they think that, it's inappropriate. Yes, these things matter. And so that's a great place to just be like, okay, Deanna, yes, you love Prince. This is a well-known fact. Yes, it's very hard not for you not to dance every time you hear a Prince song. But zoom out and take into context like what else into consideration, excuse me, what else is happening in the context
Yeah.
and think
So
about whether or
let's
not this is appropriate.
So let's actually start zooming out. So let's take the hypothetical situation where Deanna and Justin are about ready to have a conversation, and we're already trying to show empathy by once I get into it, I'm going to mirror behavior. I'm going to show that I'm understanding by tracking. But before I even enter the conversation, the first thing for zooming out and reading the room is to, this is actually, I'm talking to Justin, is wait to see the room in the first place. So right now, I don't know if y'all can tell if you're looking at the video, Deanna's background looks very similar to mine. She's exactly like upstairs right above me. So we're in the same house. I have a really bad habit of starting a conversation before I've actually entered the room. I don't yell, like my parents raised me right. I don't yell from outside the house, but I'll start talking around the corner. And the problem that exists there is I don't know what the mood is. So if I'm asking something super serious and Deanna's dancing to Prince, I can wait 2 seconds to see her in the situation before I say, maybe I shouldn't bring up this heavy topic now because she's over there dancing. Or the other way around, I shouldn't come in the room. And our whole family does this. It's like we have a trumpeter announcing that we're coming before we come in. And
That's true.
oftentimes we are singing. We will,
Yeah.
before we enter a room, we are preceded by a song we are singing.
I
Which is
never thought about
fine.
that, Justin, but that is so true. We
Yes,
do
like
sing
it's
our way
like
into rooms.
announcing Sir Justin. And if I come in singing, and then I come in and you're deep in the zone concentrating. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to work on take a moment, sing internally to yourself before you come in and you can see what's going on. This is especially important in the age of text messages and team channels and email. Be very careful about your timing. So, for example, with texting, where I know it's not like urgent, instead of texting Deanna stuff, when I think about it in the moment, right away, I write it down. So instead of using my texting, I use my phone's notes app so I can remember and write it down, but I can wait and see and say it to her so I can see, like, wait, how is she feeling? How are things going? Is she overwhelmed? Is she feeling silly? And I can adjust the message accordingly, as opposed to, I thought about it right now. Here, I'm going to send it to you in texting. No matter how you are feeling, no matter what your room is, here's the message.
So, let's go real, okay? Because I'm gonna just talk about from a workplace perspective,
Yep.
what one thing that I had to do because I am like a, um, I like generate ideas quickly. Like my brain is like, "Doo, doo, 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 doo." That's literally the noise that happens in my brain, like when I'm excited or when I'm thinking about things. And I have had the great pleasure of being able to learn from people who are much more introverted and like really like to like think on their
Mhm.
own and then like kind of pull their ideas together and then share them and have come to just really understand that that's a different style than mine, but I genuinely appreciate it. And I remember I had one of my assistants was like, so Deanna, like whenever you have an idea, like like you share it with me because that's the way that my brain works. Like I share it, I share it. And she's like, and it's overwhelming for me. Like I don't mind the ideas. It's just that they come and then when they come, like I have to recalibrate, right? I have to recalibrate. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I didn't think about it from that perspective." And I was so grateful to her for saying that. And so, this is where it gets really real, right? I mean, obviously, I was so the fact that she told me was helpful, but what I had to do in order to help myself practice being in the context is I literally took a sticker because this is my assistant, right? So we were in, like, conversation pretty much all day long, but I made a sticker that had the word "stop" on it. And I put it on my return key on my computer. So I instead of return, it said stop so that I could remind myself like, "Oh, yeah," to the Justin's point right now, like, I would be, like, writing and I'd be like, "Oh, wait a minute. That's right. Let me
Mhm.
just go put this in this other place. Oh," and before my little pinky could hit the return button to send it to her, I would have to take a minute to be like, "Wait, is this something that I'll just hold for the one-on-one? Is this something that I'll just put into, like, an email? Is this something that I can" and I had to work on that because
Yeah.
I know that it's not my natural style. But it was
Mhm.
such a gift, right, that she gave me that, but just I also knew that in order for me to do it well, I had to put some guardrails in. So
Yeah. And it's take a moment on your own and research the amount of time that people, especially in office work, who work at computers, how much time they are interrupted and how much time they spend responding to interruptions and then trying to get back into focus.
Mhm.
So again, it's easy to go on social media and make a little funny video making fun of meetings that could have been an email. But you know what else? We waste a lot of time and a lot of emotional energy reading emails, responding to emails, and being angry about emails and misunderstanding the email because an email and a text and things over channels are written things that have no respect for context. They are text without context, subtext, tone. And we say, oh, this could have just been an email. But then we spend 20 minutes reading and rereading them. I can't believe this tone. I can't believe this. And then when we talk to the person, we're like, oh, it's completely different. So, subtle hint, maybe try experimenting with more frequent but shorter standing meetings. For all that stuff you wanted to text throughout the day, speak it in 5 minutes when people are already, the room is people are primed to receive information and respond to it, as opposed to, I'm thinking about it in the second. Here it is. Here's another one and another one and another one.
Mhm.
So zooming out a little bit more, like we talked about, like, hey, synchronous communication, preferably where we can see the person or we can hear their tone. So either phone calls, virtual meetings, or face to face. That's one level zoom out. But also, I think it's important to zoom out even more because we have to, at our disposal, the luxury of seeing how, before I enter into a conversation with Deanna, seeing how Deanna is conversing with other people.
Mm.
So we can take a moment, we can take a beat and see, like, hey, what's going on over there? Like, we can watch the room, we can enter the meeting, we can enter the boardroom, we can enter the cocktail hour, we can enter the networking situation, and not barging in off of our nervous energy. I've got to say something really quick. I got to let people know I'm here. It's just taking a moment and seeing what else is going on. How are people feeling? And Deanna, you have a lot of experience with this because you do a lot of keynotes. And you do a
Mhm.
lot of speeches to big groups and lots of training, which often means, hey, fly in and talk to this group in the middle of a 3-day summit. And you're like launched right into it, and you have the whole room, and you have to do a lot of understanding the context before you deliver your text. How do you do that to make sure that in real time you're responding to people's needs as opposed to just going off a script?
So first of all, it's like one of my greatest joys, right? Because I
Yeah.
just love being able to, what an honor to be able to be in all of these different spaces and really like so many different topics and so many, people with so many passions. It's really awesome because I do get to see so many different contexts and just learn so much. But there's a couple of different things that I do in preparation for this so I can understand context. Some of it is before I ever even step on a plane, right? Before the travel even begins, actually, before I even put together any of my material. And that is trying to get a strong understanding of what is the expectation. So, what is it that the group is trying to achieve? Who is going to be in the audience?
Mm.
What is the going to be on the agenda, not just for what I'm going to do, but what's going to happen before me, what's going to happen after me, what is going to happen like around the entire thing, if it's going to be a 3-day, a 5-day, a retreat, like what other things are going to be going on. Because the more I can understand of what the larger, like the more I can zoom out and really understand that larger context, the more I can make sure that I'm aligned with it and that people understand the connectivity. Because there's nothing like going to something you're like, wait, what was that about? Like, why was that happening? Right. And I never want that to be like a disconnect for them and for people to not understand how it fits into what they're doing or why they're there or why they've signed up or why they've donated their time or dedicated their time to that time with me. And so that's one big thing. And that happens before, again, really any content or anything is created. But
And
other
I hear,
things that
real quick, I hear that that's
yeah.
something like, even if I'm not doing, if I'm out here and I'm listening to this and I'm not doing keynote speeches, I still hear stuff that anybody can do. It's like, just take a moment and be like, who's there? What are they thinking about? And what's the point of what I'm talking about? And this is like, this is linguistics 101. This is discourse analysis 101. It's what's the occasion? Who's the
Mhm.
audience? And what's the message? Think about those three things. Who's going to be there, the audience? What's the occasion, the context? And how do I have to adjust my message? So what else were you going to say, Dan?
Yeah, so, then there's other things that happen too. So then it's like, okay, now that I understand that, then it comes to like thinking about even putting the material together. So what are words? What are examples? What are things that are going to really um that this group is going to understand and not just understand like yeah they're going to understand it but that are going to resonate with them. So I think that's the other component of it too, is just trying to start from a place of what is meaningful from in their world, right? Like
What's their language?
what's their language, what's their experiences, what are the things that are challenges for them, or what are the things that bring them joy,
Yep.
like, and really starting from that context. And so that's another component of it. I find that to be so fun and fascinating because again I get to like step into these different contexts. Sometimes they're like totally new for me, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I never got to look at the world from this perspective, or learn about different things. So that for me is also really important. And I would say that the takeaway there, that's not just for people who are doing speeches or keynotes or whatever, is to start with like, okay, you know what? If I'm in this department, but I'm going to go present in this other department, like what is it that's different about the way that their processes might start, or what is different about the way that they have to prioritize things, or what their timeline looks like, or what their calendar looks like, or what pressures or stressors might be on their plate. And it's kind of understanding that, because that can help you think about how your language is different, or can help you think
Yeah.
about what order in which you like present information. And so I just think that's just such a actually I just find it kind of fun, right? I mean, it's important, but I think it's also fun.
So it's like reading the room, but I hear you now saying like read the building. Like it's not just like what's happening in this immediate moment. It's think about what is going on in the background. Who are the people? Not just what is happening to them right now, but who are they
Mhm.
at their core, their habits, their default patterns of behavior. But also, I think there's something about literally, if I'm going into a situation, I will ask, what is happening 3 hours before I start? And what's going to happen for 3 hours after I'm done? Because if I'm in the middle of a summit, I want to know literally what has just happened. And if we're in a situation or if I'm about ready to, give a speech or something, I will ask, is it okay if I come early? And then I will
Yeah.
start by referencing something that just ended. So if I'm after another speaker, I will start my introduction by referencing something the previous speaker has concluded with to create this continuity from one thing to the next. But something deeper than all this, if we're talking about reading the room, is I take a moment to see one on one what's Deanna's body language, posture, tone like, what kind of mood before I go in. And then reading the building is let's see what's happening with these folks right before my text, right after my text. Reading beyond the building to reading the world is what's going on in the background for everyone, not just this team, not just that one person,
Mhm.
but what might be front of mind for a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan. I avoid really hard doom scrolling. But I think this is where it's important to think about modifying tone based on what people are preoccupied with on a global or national or social and societal level, because that's part of the room. If
Absolutely.
something super exciting is happening and everybody's very happy about it, not that you have to reference it explicitly, but maybe like, okay, so people might be a little happier. Okay, let's make sure that energy is happening. All right, now I can capitalize on it. I can reflect it more. But if there's also something that really devastating has just happened, if your team, you're about ready to have the standing meeting, and your team has just gotten an announcement 3 weeks ago that there is going to be all kinds of changes and they're worried about it, maybe when I go into my monthly check in, the most boisterous, happy, positive tone might not resonate with them the most. So,
Mhm.
reading the room is the person, physical behavior, subtext and context right in the moment. Reading the building is what are their behaviors, their patterns of the whole group, what's happening before and after. Now, reading the world is what are bigger issues that are running in the background that could change the emotional tone and climate.
Yeah. So I think we've talked about a lot of different things as it relates to reading the room, but this is all really under the larger topic of just adaptability, which is
Mhm.
one of the many things that we cover in our upcoming book, The Bridging Leader. And if you have not already gotten your pre-order in, now's the time to do it. You don't want to be one of these people who is trying to scramble at the end. So all you have to do is go down into the information below and go ahead and get your pre-order so that you have it on the very first day that it's released, and you can see these kinds of techniques and tips and the more detail here that like we've talked about today, so that you can have it at your disposal.
All right. So it was a pleasure learning with you all. And thank you for your questions, your comments. They really drive what we talk about here. And so keep those coming. And we'll look forward to conversing with you during our next episode of Uplifting Conversations.
Take care, everyone. Bye.